Hey, back again. From Body and Soul, a Mojo Mystic Manifesto is what we're looking at today, and how to end those extremes. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with Astrology Mojo, transformational astrology, and I want to help you get your mojo back. Now, I'll just wait till people start assembling and talk more about what it looks like to end the struggle and to stop the extremes, because people have a lot of misconceptions about what that is. So first, let me know who's here. Come and join me today. Say hello. We are in the middle of all the eclipses and the vibes of the Cancer solar eclipse and the Capricorn lunar eclipse and the Mercury in retrograde. And hey, Christine. And we're also looking at the extremes between the North and South node, which are adjuncts of the moon. And before I go any further, if you're new to me, then what I like to tell people is that in astrology, related to astrology, not just conscious awareness, but in astrology, the planets don't make you do anything. We live in a cooperation with the cosmos so that when the planets are making a move, you feel that. And when you start to make your moves, the planets reflect that in the heavens. And so by way of aspects and angles, so that you start to realize the integration of energy between you and what's outside of you, and how to incorporate energies from nature, from the weather, literally. Zen seeing with clouds. If you have difficulty letting something go, we're going to be talking about that today, and how to end the extremes and the struggles so that you can become that Mojo Mystic that you really want to be, and what that means. And, to get that soul and body connection going and activated. So one of the things you can do actually is called Zen seeing. You lie down when there's big billowy clouds, stratocumulus, or some of the other ones I'm forgetting the names of, but the big billowy ones, and where they move enough to actually change shape. And what you can do is project an image, a feeling, a recurring issue onto that cloud, and then just be so present as the cloud begins to change. And as it changes, miraculously, so do your feelings. It is powerful and so simple. Why wouldn't we do that? So, Lindsay's here. Hi, Lindsay and Talitha, Althea, and Jen. Good morning. How are you doing from your grandson, age 4? I'm doing great. How are you doing? I once asked my cousin's little boy when he was 4, I think he's 29 now, but when he's 4, I said, how are you feeling? And he said, I said, how do you feel? How do you feel? And he said, with my hands. Exactly, right? That's how he feels things, with his hands. Hey, Kathleen. It's a very, I don't want to say tumultuous time, but for some people it is, because they are focused on the trauma. Now, everyone will encounter trauma, and everyone will encounter struggles and conflict. This is the nature of living on Earth. Welcome to the planet. Let me be your earthly representative and your celestial representative. But what we can do, this is a little wonky, what we can do to minimize our conflict is to pay attention to how we're really feeling in the moment that we're feeling it. And I know, I can talk about this and talk about this and talk about this, but really what you need to do is get a grip. You need to literally get a grip. And, there's there's many other ways to say it, but honestly, you just have to be so transparent about your behavior. And to end the judgment, you can move into evaluation, evaluation, which is so much more helpful. But to end the judgment and ask yourself, what's true? Now, there's so many truths out there, right? But what's true for you? If something is true for you, you're going to feel it. But if you're numb because you feel like a victim, you feel powerless, if you're numb because you're not paying attention and you're giving it all away to everybody else because you think you have to, out of obligation, out of necessity, out of, well, it's my job, and, all these things that we believe, that we create, that we make up to justify our struggle and our pain and our disease, but we all struggle, and you can minimize it. Okay? Let's minimize it. In the moment that we're feeling it, you can actually look at the thing that you think is the conflict. Oh, she never calls me back, or I can't stand this guy. I worked for him for 4 years. He treats me like a kid. Or what's going on in the news and the politics. None of that has changed in over 2,000 years. Folks, hello. It hasn't changed because we're not changing. So when we change, it changes. You understand? And it's so funny. I have a saying that I started out giving to Geminis and Gemini rising signs who will overdo when they're in the middle of doing something they really don't want to do. They just keep going. And I'll say, to them, now it's for everyone. It's a blanket statement. I'm done. It's not done. Okay. There's a distinction that has to be made between, and then my husband will joke because I'll be cleaning the house and then, the sweat is pouring down because it's 102 degrees outside. And, I've done half of the house and I just sit down and go, that's it. I'm done. And then my husband will say, it's not done, but you're done. I'll say, yes, wise ass. So the whole point of being able to understand what you're going through and why does it keep happening and how do I get out of it and what is the spin and the circle, we just have to get present. And I want to share with you my my manifesto, which I'm going to start sending out to all my clients. And I had a V8 moment, like, duh, why am I not sending this out to everyone and sharing it with everyone? What a Mojo Mystic is, because as a modern mystic, I will tell people, because they might segment me into and categorize me, oh, you're an astrologer. Well, I have an intuitive that I go see, and I'll say, well, what's the difference? And then I realize, oh, well, some people aren't tuning into all of their powers. So a mystic is someone who is aware of the moment and the struggle and the door that lets you out of the struggle. That's it. We all struggle. Enlightenment doesn't mean you never feel the pain. Wow, isn't it beautiful? That's not enlightenment on this earth. Means you become aware of the moment, and then you are given the responsibility of choice. What do you want to do with that? Hey, more people have shown up. Hi, Cecilia. How are you doing? Cecilia is a beautiful jazz singer. Virginia, Talitha says, hey, wanted to know if this is a video or if you're live. I am live right now, July 22nd. But if you're watching this tomorrow, it will be a video. Isn't that just mind-blowing to your grandson? Nana and Pop Pop are in Arizona. Where do they live? I'm in Sedona, in the village of Oak Creek, actually. It's live right now, coming to you live with jazz hands. And Virginia says, I can feel my change. And Catherine has shown up as well. So if we can all just attune to the fact that, the pulsing of life is a constant, and your vibe may not resonate with what's going on across the street, in the next town, at the town meeting, at work, or with your insurance policy. There's tension, and the tension gets our attention so that you can create an intention. All right? Let's just pay attention to that. When you have an awareness built in that says, oh yeah, something's goofy, or I feel the spin, then let's not get sucked into the vortex of the spin. Let's pull back and take a deep breath and say, oh, something crazy is happening. I don't feel right. Something is off center. And then in that moment, you can help yourself. And when you help yourself, you help 90,000 other people energetically. Can you understand the scope of the power that you have when you're not bent over looking at the junk mail or the bills or the crack in the floor that you have to fix and stand back, take a deep breath. All right, I want to read you my Mojo Mystic manifesto, and then I'm going to send it out to everyone on my email list. And I hope that it helps you. I have two versions. I have a mini version. It's like the pocket version, and I have the longer version. And if you're not on my email list, Dean, why don't you tell them what they've won? Show people how that they can be part of my email list. And also, I'm offering a new session this week in looking at the nodes, the North and South Node opposite. And I did talk about them in the previous eclipse power session. But now I'm offering something called a body and soul transformational package. And Dean will post a link. It's also posted on, if you see the blue book now button on a Facebook page, if you're on a phone or a tablet, you may not see it. You may have to scroll down, but Dean can also post a link to that. And it's going to include 3 months of daily horoscopes, and they're called transits. When planets transit your natal chart, different things show up. And depending on who you are and what your chart looks like, it's more personalized to your experience. So Dean can post a link and show you how to get that reading. Oh, Talitha says, I told him you're our teacher. That's so sweet. Well, thank you. He wanted to know why. I said, because you know a lot. Nana and Pop-Up are 90 years old in Tucson. Tucson is a beautiful place, especially in the winter. Well, hi to Nana and Pop-Up, and I hope that they are well. All right, Mojo Mystic Manifesto, people. This is the credo for my life, and I would like you to adopt it. And then we're going to talk about how we can end those opposites and those extremes. Okay, so Mojo Mystic Manifesto goes like this. A 1 and a 2. A Mojo Mystic finds joy in the now. He takes responsibility for his thoughts and actions. She never plays the victim. They set healthy boundaries without apology or becoming defensive. A Mojo Mystic is intuitive and trusts their decisions. They can compromise without compromising self, health, or integrity. She is powerful and compassionate. She is never wrong for how she feels and will not allow anyone to make her feel small for how she thinks. A Mojo Mystic never minimizes themselves to make others feel better. They express their truth easily, fully, with kindness and empathy. A Mojo Mystic takes decisive action, and no matter what the outcome, handles the consequences with dignity and without regret or blame. Big one, right? They are aligned in body, mind, and spirit. He intuitively knows what's best. So does she. So do they. A Mojo Mystic inspires others to be their best and highest selves. She doesn't judge others for their actions or their choices and accepts them for who they are with pure conscious love, always activated. They will not allow melodrama into their life. A Mojo Mystic is a psychic warrior who trusts that she'll get her needs met. She knows that action and momentum get the results and answers that she seeks. He knows that not knowing is okay, and they are comfortable with that. A Mojo Mystic knows that fear is just an illusion. A Mojo Mystic laughs with abandon. A Mojo Mystic is an extension of the light, present in as many moments as possible, moving forward toward infinite creation. So, my question to you is, are you a Mojo Mystic? And now the mini version, the pocket version. So this way you can print it out and carry it around with you, just in those moments where you just want to get a little upset. And I'm not saying don't feel your feelings, but then move through them gracefully, right? A Mojo Mystic says, I am confident, I'm intuitive, I trust my decisions. I set healthy boundaries. It's okay to say no. I speak my truth. I'm never wrong for how I feel. I'm compassionate and empathetic. I see my future. I magically create an intentional life. I am pure, conscious love. That's the mini version. Okay? Does this make sense? Does this resonate with you? This is who I am as a modern mystic, as an intuitive, a clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient. And the clairs are French words meaning clear. Clairvoyant, clairsight, being able to see what may not be visible. Clairaudient, being able to hear. Clairsentient, being able to feel, smell, and taste what may not be apparent. And so are you, right? So are you. You are these things. That made you misty? How about mystical? How about a Mojo Mystic? Okay, so let's talk about these extremes. Ha! Yeah, being transparent and authentic about who you are and how you feel. That means simply when, let's say, you had an expectation and it isn't met, you might immediately blow it off and say, oh, well, that's okay. You know, they're really busy. They were supposed to get back to me, or haven't heard from them in 6 months, and now suddenly, you know, they want me. And so there's moment of paying attention to how you really feel. And that acknowledgement is the moment that you can release that feeling and that negative energy that sets up the extremes. Does that make sense? Let me say it again in a different way. So someone give me an example of the last time, could be yesterday, this morning, last week, you felt really, really upset with someone because they didn't meet your expectations. Who's got an example for me? Somebody give me an example. Hi, Liz Gonzalez. Hi, hon. Hey, Francis is here. So we have a Libra. We have, and I'm forgetting, we have a Gemini. We have a Sagittarius. We have a Pisces. We've got a Taurus. We've got a Cancer. Who else is here? Lindsay, I'm sorry, dear. I forgot your birthday. Anyway, give me an example so I can actually be very clear on what we're talking about, how to end the extremes. And I'm going to show you, today's the 22nd of July 2019. But if you're listening to this in a replay, we're talking about the extremes between the Sun, Venus, North Node, and Mercury opposing Saturn, South Node, and Pluto, Cancer and Capricorn. And these oppositions, no matter what planets they are in, but the oppositions create the tension. No, let me rephrase that. The oppositions don't create the tension. The oppositions exemplify your tension and your extremes. And so we're looking at the extreme between the past would like to take hold in the present in order to become your future. Are you okay with that? If the feelings that you carry over from the past are here right now, they will become part of your future. And anything you are feeling at any given time, and if it becomes consistent and it stays that way, and I'm talking from neutral to negative, neutral to negative, neutral to negative, however you want to see that. It's not always up and down, left or right. Anything in that scope, in that framework, is going to create the feeling of powerlessness, of victimization, of indecision, conflict, and struggle. And I'm showing you a way out. There is a door. Because between the extremes, there is a center, and that's you. You're at the center of those extremes. So what do the extremes look like in your life? What is the conflict? Catherine says, I have one. Thank you, Ms. Gemini. My mom criticized how I did laundry. I'm 60 years old. I'm a Gemini. Yes. Your mom criticized how you did laundry. And in that moment, when you received the criticism, was it new? I'll answer for you. No, of course it wasn't new. How did you respond, though? And not so much to the person, but what was your immediate feeling? The immediate feeling that just set off, like, F you, or go screw yourself, or what the, or how the, it's like, hey, so there was a moment where an energy pulsated out of your body. What was that energy? What word would you put on it? Leah's here. We have a Scorpio. Deborah, Aquarius. Capricorn in the 4th for Catherine. Lots of breakdown in the home. And if Pluto is there, wow. A lot of moving, a lot of letting go of those past anchors to struggle and victimization and powerlessness. That's a lot. Cancer in your 10th. Yes, you're happiest when you're working. And if you're working at home, mixed bag, right? So what was that feeling? Yes, today on the laundry, pissed off. Okay, thank you for the example, Catherine. So we're talking about extremes, right? And we're talking about how the planets aren't doing it to you. They are showing you, here's a blueprint. You want a version to look at? You could look at anything. You could look at stains on your carpet and go, oh, I see the future. You could look at oracle cards. You could look at numerology. So when we're looking at astrology, what we're looking at really is our world, what we've created. So in Catherine's example, she is 60 years old. And her mom criticized her for the way she did laundry, and her first reaction was pissed off. So now what do we do with that? If this was the very first time that Catherine ever felt pissed off at her mother, we could say, well, we're just going to take a deep breath. And we're going to realize that, mom has her own way of doing things, and mom has expectations of you, or mom, it's not really about you. It's about mom. It's about mom criticizing herself and feeling insecure. Okay, but let's just say, this is not the first time. And not being the first time means that there's a repetitive pissed off. And it just keeps going, and it keeps going until it builds an entire aura. Now remember, if you haven't seen my last several live talks, we were talking about the bodies that you have energetically. It's not just the physical form where, the line delineates who you are, who I am, that we're separate. No, we're all one energy, but we are expressing individuality on this earth so that we can learn what it's like to be in the extreme, so then we can really learn what it's like to align body, mind, spirit in the moment. And this is our earthly adventure we call life. And so when you have that experience where it's a constant and you're trying to defend yourself against that, you build up an energy in your aura, and it starts to get gunky. It gets cloudy. It stops you from perceiving the truth. It stops you from energetically holding that space of pure white light. White as in... white light in the universe contains every single color, and the colors we cannot see. Ultra colors. They're called ultra colors in your aura. So when you have ultra colors, and let me show you, this is my aura when I'm giving a reading, or when I'm doing these kinds of talks. So the balance comes with, you can see that's a little big. The balance comes when I am opened and attuned. Right? So that's what I look like. And then the magenta violet color is the connection that I have to my spirit and the levels of awareness to the etheric body. Okay. And then the beams that are coming down, those are ET info, I really don't like using the word ET. We'll call them starseed family. And so the starseed family are talking to me so that I can share with you. And so you have an aura as well. And I actually did had a Reiki session the other day, and then I drove over to this place that does aura because I wanted to take an updated picture of what it looks like to receive healing energy and then have my aura but then the place was closed. The one day that I went, it's the one day they said we are only closed today. I was like, okay, that's okay. I'll do it again and I'll show you. So when you're looking at your energy from the inside out, it can be very simple. We get very stuck in the details of, and he said that and she said that. And so what we can do is, like in the case of Catherine and her mother telling her, how to do laundry. It's like, hey, you know what? And the same, very similar thing happened to me when my mom was alive, and I would go over and I spent a year with her literally every day, helping her clean or taking her to the doctor or spending time with her or whatever. But one day I was making her bed and she could see from the kitchen her point of view, and she was watching me make the bed, and she said, yeah, those aren't hospital corners. Where'd you learn how to make a bed? And I just looked at her and I said, so what's your issue? You can make it yourself. I'll just leave the bedroom. I said, that's really not a way to show gratitude, is it? By criticizing someone. So I deflected it by taking it out of me. I didn't take it personally. I was just like, hey, listen to what you're saying and how you're saying it. And you could be doing this instead. So when you can take that energy that you're feeling in the world and not attach to it, not make it personal, then all this stuff from the past, so if we're working on it a little every day, it doesn't accumulate to this big explosion, this big bomb, I didn't know. How could I not see? And a lot of times we don't see. Even I don't see everything. But when it does come, I note, how do I respond or react to something? Oh, okay. I got some paperwork the other day. Oh my gosh, I was not paying attention. I was not paying attention to certain merchant service financial statements because I wasn't charging anything on that account. So I thought, well, there's no activity, so there's nothing to look at. Well, what I saw, to the tune of $900+ that I could not retrieve or get back after many phone calls, was that they were charging me just to have the account, which I didn't know. So I got upset at first. It was like, what? And then I realized I was upset at me for not paying attention. So I spoke with a woman and I said, listen, I goofed up. And I was attending this part of my life when I didn't pay attention to this because of that, because I didn't realize that if there wasn't any activity, I didn't realize you would still be charging me. And if you're going to continue to charge me this amount of money for not using the account, I think we're going to have to close the account. And she went, oh, well, we could do things, So then they lowered the monthly fee and told me other options that I have. And she did give me 4 months back of payment, which was something. And I appreciated it. And I thought, okay, I learned a very valuable lesson, and it was an expensive lesson. And so, but the moment it was like, I wanted to spiral into, I'm a victim and you took advantage of me, and those banks and those credit people, and they're crooks. They're all it's like, there was maybe 5 minutes of that energy building. And I thought, no, I'm like Elle on Stranger Things. It's like, I'm just going to focus and put all my power for the sake of good. All right, let me see some of the comments here. Yes, Catherine saying, learning to accept and not taking it personally. Francis asks, does the opposition affect feelings of disappointment? For example, I'm trying to find housing by September and feeling discouraged due to a pattern of bad living situations. Okay, so that's a great question. So oppositions will show you who you are and what the struggle has been, because this is not new. If you're over the age of 8, basically the patterns are set. But it doesn't mean that they can't be reversed or neutralized. So if you have trouble finding housing that is suitable to you, you want to do a little assessment. And this applies to anyone, so please get out a pen and a paper. And you can actually track the issue. Pick one issue. My mother keeps, criticizing me. I have this horrible reputation, or, I can't ever find a roommate, or I have this same issue happen with, getting an apartment or buying a house or whatever. Or the same thing happens at work with every boss that I ever had, or the same thing, excuse me. So if the same thing is happening, you want to look at the pattern, and that's what the extremes show you. That's what the opposites show you. So Cancer represents nurturing and financial acuity as well. And nurturing can come in the form of, as I said before, it's not just, oh, come here, honey, give me a hug. It can be, you need food and sustenance. I'm going to research for you the best nutrients, the best medicines, the best whatever. Or I'm going to bake you cookies because you look like you had a hard day. But there may not always be the physical support. The Cancer energy is very nurturing. On the outside, it's very stoic and tough. Like Capricorn, it's opposite. And Capricorn is very stoic and tough, but on the inside, it's very soft and sentimental like Cancer. So the pattern, and you need to see where it is in your chart. If you know the two houses that are being affected, then those houses are going to show you clues toward the results or the solution. And so on a piece of paper, everybody write down what you think is the one issue, not, oh, this happened, that happened, that. Just pick one thing. Okay. You pick one thing. And as you pick one thing, you ask yourself, when is the last time this happened? When is the last time I felt exactly the same? And then you write that down. Oh, I felt this way when I was doing paperwork for insurance. When I had this feeling a few days ago about the merchant services and me wanting to go into victim mode because I was cheated by the credit card company and the blah, blah. And I stopped and said, no, you just weren't paying attention, Elaine. When is the last time this happened? And I thought back, about 6 months ago. I had to deal with some insurance paperwork, different than the merchant service, but I had the same feeling. And the feeling was, I'm a victim. I don't know. And bottom line is, I just don't like dealing with this kind of information. It's that simple. I just don't enjoy it. I don't like it. It makes me feel, and then I list all the words. So I want you to list all the words that you feel around the situation. When's the last time you felt this way? When's the last time something like this happened? And how did it make you feel? And list all the feelings. Oh, I felt stupid. I felt ignorant. I felt like I was a kid. I felt like I could never understand something. I felt, so you want to write down all the things that you feel. And when you start to pay attention to your feelings, that is 1/3 of the program. All right? So body, mind, spirit. So the mind is the part that generates the issue based on what the feelings are. The body has the emotion. The mind has the thought attached to the emotion. That creates a neuron. That neuron generates an electricity, an output, and creates more neurons, which creates more output. And then there's more thoughts and the same feeling around the same thing, and it gets anchored. And then you become a magnet for the same situation over and over and over again. Does that make sense? Do you understand that? That you are creating your entire swirl. That's your reality. So now when we have eclipses coupled with extremes, and this is a very powerful set of eclipses because it's combined in this opposition. And this is July 15th, as I was showing folks last week. Now it's a little more concentrated, so the extremes are closer together. The South Node and Saturn today are exact. And Venus, North Node, and the Sun and Mercury are a lot closer because Mercury has now retrograded back into Cancer. So there's a much more intense vibe to it. Oopsie. I'm just going to show you every image I have. because I don't know what I'm clicking on. Okay. Well, this was the next one I wanted to show you. Everything that you create is in your auric field. Everything is here. And then it extends 3 to 5 feet in energy. So you walk into a store and you're feeling crappy. What are you going to attract? Somebody who comes over and bumps into you. You're going to attract somebody who gets in front of you in line. And you're looking at your watch going, I got to get to work, man. I'm going to be late. So the vibe that you output is the vibe that you will get back. It is your creation. Really? Yeah, really. Make sense? Okay. Okay, so you're welcome, Francis. Christine says, okay, so my ego faces all my emotion by finding the bright side within seconds of any reaction. Great. As long as you're feeling the feeling. You don't want to just brush it off and go, oh yeah, it's okay. It's happened before. I'll just get through it, just like last time. And then tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years from now, it's the same thing. So if you're not feeling, and this is a calibration. This is why when I talk about this in my body, soul, empowerment connection package, we're going to talk about the moment. And I'll give you an example of my last body and soul empowerment package was with a high-powered person in this world. And we were talking about an issue that they were having. And I said to this person, okay, well, here's how you might resolve this thing. And then they snapped back and said, oh no, here's what happens, blah, blah, blah. And I could feel them contract and get defensive. So instead of giving them more stuff to do, I just went right, push the button. Ding dong. Okay, let's talk about this moment. What just happened? You just got defensive with me. Tell me why. It's a safe place. I'm not going to judge you. I'm here to help you. Tell me why you just got defensive. Oh, a little bit of grumble, a little bit of, oh, wow, I did. Actually, I did. I said, yeah, you did. And I'm not taking it personally because it's not about me. You came to me for this issue, and I'm pointing it out to you in the moment it's happening, and you're denying it. That's, ta-da! That's the big aha this person had. I said, and you live in this world where there's stuff always coming at you. And, it was a legal battle. And I said, if you put up a fight, I have a series of historical fiction fantasy books that I'm writing. Aries Fire was the first. I've rewritten over 30% of it. 10 Steps of the Bull is the next version, is the next book in the series for Taurus. First one is for Aries, second is for Taurus, and the third will be for Gemini as I'm researching that, the Viking Queen. But in my second book, the book for Taurus, takes place in the 7th century, and there's a young boy who's orphaned and abandoned, actually, and he's raised by a Shaolin warrior who becomes an abbot at a monastery, a Buddhist monastery. And so the kid is just, he's been beaten, he's just been abused, he's like had it, and he's withdrawn. And so the teacher keeps trying to show him about his energy, and the master abbot says to him, if there's a tiger, and the kid turns around, where? And he's like, no, it's a story. There's a tiger. And if you fight the tiger comes looking for you, so if you put up an energy that is defensive, you will attract defensive, or what is the opposite of defensive? Offensive. All right. So we want to feel the feeling that we're feeling. We want to name it. We want to feel it. We want to feel it as much and as thoroughly as possible. You want to be clout in the air. You want to rip up paper. You want to break things and you complain and get out of your system. Set a timer, 5 minutes. Start there. And then it's just going to... Now, we are creatures that hold. We contain. We're containers. My husband and I really like the Container Store. Oh, you're like, oh, look, the Container Store. Yeah. So you may think you've resolved something, and then it comes back and you go, I thought I dealt with this. So here comes, the extreme situation, and you say, like in Francis's situation, where, I have this housing issue. So what we can do, and this is for everyone now, okay? No matter what the issue is, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it deeply. You're going to feel it fully. You're going to react to it in a room that's safe, that's not causing harm to anyone. Because if you hold it and don't feel it, you're causing harm to yourself, because it accumulates, and energy that is negative to neutral that you hold eventually becomes an illness or a malady or an affliction, mental or emotional or physical. Okay? So you're going to feel your feelings deeply, thoroughly, embrace them. React in a small room where you can't cause harm, let it out, and then you're going to write about it. With the written word, not typing, but the written word comes clarity. And then you're going to refocus and reframe on something neutral to positive, neutral to positive. So in the case of Francis finding a place to live that is conducive, well, in the past, I only get roommates who bag out, or they make a mess, or but it's teaching you how to set boundaries. Or in the past, I find these places where, people are really nice and then they raise the rent on me, or they, whatever the situation is. So go back further than that. What happened before that, before you were renting? What happened when you lived with family? Before that, what happened when you moved for the very first time? What were the feelings that surrounded moving, finding a place, being secure, feeling safe? And then once you get that all situated, it's like you're a baker, you're a creator, you're a painter. You're assembling all your tools, but you're a Mojo Mystic, and you're going to manifest something. So then in anyone's case, no matter what the situation is, follow these steps and then create the visual for the positive, for the outcome you would like to have. And when you do that, then you get a leg up. Then you have to start accepting help. Once you accept the fact that you are the cause of the dilemma in your life, you are not a victim, you are not powerless. Once you accept that fact, then you can accept a leg up. And a leg up means having others come by and say, I heard you were looking for an apartment. Well, I know someone. And then in that moment, or you read an ad in the paper, or you see bulletin board, posting at a supermarket, room for rent, whatever. It needs to go from the head right into the heart. You have to feel it. No. I got an email this morning saying, you signed up for our thing 5 years ago, and we've been sending you newsletters. We just want to reconfirm that you would like to stick with us. And it took a moment to pause, thinking, yeah, that would be fun. I would go. And then I stopped and thought, yeah, I thought that 5 years ago when I signed up, but I know I'm never going to read your newsletter, and I'm never going to use this information. So I opted out. And it's important to do that, to know intuitively, yeah, this feels good. And if you have a confusion around it, then you sit with it and you be with it and you imagine it and you feel it. Visualize with your eyes closed, excuse me, what it looks like to be in that situation, to have harmony with a family member, to have a new apartment that's affordable and it's safe and it's everything you want. List all the things you want and need, and as if they were happening. I have this thing, this relationship, this experience. And then you're going to start to bring together the illusion with the reality, and that's called manifestation. Does that make sense? Okay. Ooh, Jen Condon gave me 3 bullseye targets. I always wanted to do archery. I wrote about that in my second book, about a princess, soon to be empress, where it's not allowed and she does it anyway. Empowered. Christine says, yep, that's where looking at the bright side doesn't work. Yeah, it's not, people will say, positive affirmations. Yeah, but you got to be acting on it. First, you have to feel the crappy stuff. This is the extreme that we're talking about in this even though this says July 15th, this is the opposite. This is what it looks like in astrology. Saturn, South Node, Pluto oppose the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, and the North Node. And these energies are there to say, you are about to take everything from your past and just hurl it into your future. How's that feel? How's that look? Okay. Lindsay, where do I start to stop attracting toxic people? I seem to attract friends that are negative and abusive. Okay, so that's the same issue. You want to write down, what is the pattern? Take away their names. Put down the behavior that they have in 2 columns. They are this, they are that. Now, you look at that, and this applies to everyone. Also, another technique that I've talked about in other videos. When you do this, then you put your name down and say, do I have that behavior? And be honest. You have to be transparent about your own behavior. Am I that? No, I'm not mean. Well, are you the opposite of that? Do you have any boundaries? That may be the issue. So you have to pick the ones that you are. They may be fearful. Are you fearful? Yes. Maybe they are negative. Are you ever negative? And if the answer is, I'm only negative when I feel something, but I never express the negativity, then you are in denial of. And everything that you are, you will project like a screen, like a projection onto a screen. And those people that you attract are that projection from you. That if you're not feeling your anger, you will attract angry people. If you are not feeling your sadness, you will attract melancholy. Does that make sense? So in order to reverse that, first you have to acknowledge that you're feeling it. You can't just jump over the puddle because you don't want to get wet. I call that spiritual overachievement. Too many people in ashrams, too many people I know who have been to ashrams, who come out and they're like, yeah, life is beautiful. It's all about manifest. It's all about the love. It's all about the love. And it is. But yet they have no boundaries. Yet they're poor, or they don't make a lot of money, or they let people walk all over them, boundary, and fearful of their own power. So it's about feeling who you are. It's about expressing who you are in safe and compassionate ways and firm ways. If there are toxic people in your life, you have to say no to the toxicity. Just say no. And then recognize their behavior by writing down the pattern. What are the behaviors that these people have? And do you have them? And if you have them, the very next moment you are that thing, you have to take a deep breath and go, oh, wow, I'm really judgmental right now. It's over a can of beans. Doesn't matter. You don't have to correlate exact situations. Oh, that person is negative with people who are weak. I'm never negative with people who are weak. I'm always helpful to people who are weak. It's not that exact. It's the general feeling. It's the general emotion. It's the general output and frequency. When you resonate a frequency, you will attract that or the exact opposite. That's how it works. Does that make sense? Angela Beecham says, I have stumbled across this video at the best possible time. Did you stumble? I hope you didn't fall, but if you did, here's a leg up. That's what we're talking about. And you can get this information personalized in the soul empowerment body and soul package that I have. Click on the blue Buy Now button, or if you're on a tablet or a phone, you can scroll to the bottom, I believe, and or Dean has posted a link. And in this, you'll also get 3 months of transits. That means daily horoscopes for the next 3 months. So I am coming back. Wait, my calendar is over there. Hold on. Who else is here? Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. Leslie's here. So Liz is a Virgo. Cindy, what sign are you? Jen says, I'm ready. I'm going to be speaking with Jen very soon. And I'm excited because when a person is ready, who's heard this before? When the teacher is ready, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, yeah. And I always learn because when I channel information in any session, I get information for me too. So yeah, I'm so selfish. All right. I'm looking at my Jim Maynard calendar. La 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 la. Friday, the 26th. I'll be back at 10 a.m. The moon will be in Taurus. I am a Taurus sun sign. Sansa. We just finished watching the Game of Thrones. No spoilers. We just saw the final season. I have a few things to say about that. Sansa. My husband and I walk around the house going, Sansa. Go, you want something? He'll go, Sansa? Yes, Sansa. We just celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary yesterday, Dean and I. Samuel Dean Edelson. I married the man of my dreams. And it doesn't mean we don't argue, fight, have difficulties, or at extremes or odds, but we know how to resolve. We know how to be kind and compassionate with one another. And I hope you do too, with whomever you are with. Christine, pull a card for us, please. Hello, Leslie says. All right. Christine, thank you for the reminder. I'm sitting here. I play with them. I touch them. I play. I like the sound that they make. I go, ooh. Okay, so card on extremes and harmonizing the extremes. All right. Then there's two more that want to come out. Oh. Whatever that one is, and this one. All right. In what order, please? Essence? Know your essence. What does that mean? Everything we've been talking about. Know how you feel. Know what it feels like to be you. Know what the feelings are. Name the feelings. You must understand your essence. When you understand your essence, there is no real struggle. That is the truth. Then things come and go and you go, oh, that didn't feel good, but you let it go. And you think about, oh, how do I want to resolve that? Or how do I want to approach that? You might take your time and that's okay, as long as you're moving toward a resolution. Because when we focus on harmony and harmonizing our energy, we're not focused on the outside world. Unless you're redecorating your living room. Then you go, that chair in front of the door, that's really not great feng shui. People will trip or they can't get in. That just makes sense, right? So aesthetically pleasing. It's got to be aesthetically pleasing in here too. And then what comes is perfection. Oh, we're going to talk about this word right now. Okay, who here has heard the phrase, practice makes perfect? Who has heard this? It is so not true, all right? So Talitha, if your grandson is listening, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes, and this comes from two people. One is Keith Cunningham, and the other one, I think, is me. So practice makes experience, and also practice. So here's the example. So if you're making a pot of pasta and you practice making pasta because you're just learning how to cook, and you break the pasta and you throw it in the pot, and you turn the flame on, but there's no water in it. You can keep practicing putting pasta in the pot without water. It's never going to turn out perfect, okay? So that's the one mundane definition and level of that, okay? It's not. Perfection is not, I do it until I get it right. That is not perfection. Perfection is, I'm going to redirect you back toward this. If you are living a life in the moment with compassion in as many moments as possible, you're already in a state of perfection. I.e., I am a mystic mojo. I am a mojo mystic. I am confident. I'm intuitive. I trust my decisions. I set healthy boundaries. It's okay to say no. I speak my truth with compassion. I'm never wrong for how I feel. I'm compassionate and empathetic. I see my future. I magically create an intentional life, and I am pure conscious love. That is a state of perfection. So again, the changes, if you're painting a picture and you go, yeah, it's got too much blue, I got to start over. All right, you're going to rework it and recalibrate everything you're doing till it speaks your truth, because there is a truth and then there's your truth. And if your truth does not cause harm to you, to the environment or to anyone else on or off planet, you're in a state of perfection. If you're moving toward that, you're in a state of perfection. Does that make sense? Okay? So, I am the bright side if I allow it. And it comes down to that. I allow it. Practice makes permanent. Thank you, Dean. Practice makes permanent. I think that's what Keith Cunningham said. And I said, practice makes experience. So, yeah. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope this has helped everyone. And just stay as present as you possibly can in as many moments as possible. And be kind to yourself. Because that's when your aura then resonates as frequency. It's sparkly. It's rainbows. It's filled with light and love. And that spills into the world. And I feel it. And then we have your essence combining with harmony equals the perfection that is you. It's not a thing you have to do to get it right. It's just being present and being kind. I think you can do that. Yay! I applaud you guys for being here. So come back Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, Arizona time. And then that is 11 Mountain time. Now, when the clocks change again, Arizona will be on Mountain time because we don't change our clocks. So we just kind of wait till the country does its thing. All right. I'll be back on Friday, July 26th at 10 a.m. And we will continue the conversation about empowerment to help you move from victim to empowered, from helpless to hopeful. All right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being sparkly. I wish you peace. I'll be back.